With admit rates dropping and more students submitting applications to top colleges, how exactly can you stand out? As a former director of admissions at Swarthmore, here are the top 10 things that you can do to make yourself stand out in the selective admissions process. Hey there, parents, families, and students. My name is Andrew Hoffman. Welcome back to my channel. And welcome to my new studio. This is my guest bedroom, and I did not realize when I became a content creator on YouTube just how often I would be tearing down and setting up and tearing down and setting up in my office. And so I just decided to create a permanent studio until someone else stays at my house. I'm a former admissions officer at both Vanderbilt and Swarthmore, and I've spent almost 2 decades of my life reading and evaluating tens of thousands of college applications. Now I help students and families navigate this complex process with clarity and strategy. So if you're a high school senior or a parent of one, you've probably come to realize that the college admissions process is more confusing, more unpredictable, and more complex than ever before. And that's because it honestly is. Students are simply submitting more and more applications because the process is so unpredictable. And it's unpredictable because there are more applications. What a cycle. In this video, I'm going to break down what you can't control, what you've probably already done unless you're a junior or younger watching this video, and the top 10 things that you can do to stand out in the college admissions process, even with about 2 months to go before regular decisions are due. Let's dive in. Step 1, focus on what's in your control. Let's start with the things that you cannot control. I feel like this is my personal mantra because students ask me question after question all the time about things that honestly you just can't control at the end of the day. These are the institutional priorities and applicant factors that colleges use to shape their class. But they're not reflections of your worth, intelligence, or potential. These things have a lot more to do with financial and social priorities, underrepresentation and overrepresentation on college campuses, and rarity in the college admissions pool. Now, like it or not, you generally cannot control these things. Where you live or grew up. Colleges are trying to geographically diversify their college campus and ensure that there's a diversity of perspectives represented. So if your area is overrepresented at that particular college, that's just not on you. A good example, if you're coming from Wyoming and you're applying to the University of Wyoming, then geographic location isn't going to help you. What if you applied to Colorado College, a selective liberal arts college just over the border? Maybe or maybe not. Colleges tend to do pretty well in their backyard. But now let's say you're at an East Coast school or a Midwest school or a Southern school where you just get a handful of applicants from the state of Wyoming. Now it becomes a bigger deal. But again, that is not something that you can control. Your high school context. You can't change your high school. You can't change the resources or course offerings or reputation. Admission officers already consider this. Sure, could you make a different decision in 8th grade or even younger about your high school attendance? Yes, but if you're a senior listening to this video, there's no sense in really thinking about that at this point. Another aspect that you can't control is whether you are first generation to college or you have legacy ties to that institution. All of that is sort of a done deal. These are institutional data points, not personal failings or things that are going to give you an advantage in the admissions process. I honestly can't even tell you if it's an advantage or a disadvantage. I think it really depends on your perspective. And of course, it depends on the school and their prioritization of these things. I'll give you an example. I'm a first generation college student, and there were so many things in the college admissions process and in college in general that I just didn't understand. And it felt like my friends who had parents who went to college had it all figured out. That's not always the case, by the way, and it probably wasn't even the case when I was in high school, but that's how I felt at the time. So the way that I saw it back in high school is that being a first generation college student was actually a disadvantage. Now turn the tables. Maybe you're a student with family members who have gone to college and graduated from college, and you see that status as an advantage at some of the more selective schools. And you see that as an advantage because the colleges do want a portion of their student body to be first generation to college. It all depends on your personal perspective. Now, legacy ties are pretty different compared to first generation status. It can mostly be an advantage in this process, but again, these are not things that you can dictate or control at this point. And then there are other institutional priorities. Some colleges need an oboist, or they need a new trombone player, or maybe they're rebuilding their computer science program, or they launched a new program in Asian studies. These are things that you just can't predict. And finally, donor and recruited athletic preferences. These are real priorities for colleges, but again, these are outside of your control. You would have had to dedicate years and years of your life to do a sport in order to be a recruited athlete in one of these institutions. And so while you can technically control that, it's years in the making. Don't waste a lot of emotional energy trying to outguess what the institutional priorities might be. Just focus on the things that you have complete control over and that you can still strengthen in your application. And then there are all the things that you've probably already done. So if you're a junior, sophomore, freshman listening to this, maybe you can learn a few things. So these are the elements that seniors have already baked into their application, and others probably have a little bit of time to learn about. Academic exploration and rigor. Challenge yourself with the most rigorous course selection available and do really well in school. If you're interested in highly selective colleges and universities, that means being at the top of your class. It might not be the number 1 or number 2 spot, but you have to do really well compared to your peers. Second is summer experiences that stand out. Whether it's a selective summer program, a unique research opportunity, or a creative independent project that gains the attention of admission officers, summers are a prime time for you to demonstrate your curiosity and initiative. Third is leadership and involvement. Colleges do want to see a depth of experience. This often means some type of leadership and sustained commitment over time. College applications sometimes have distinct themes. That might be a passion for water conservation or entrepreneurial interests. And the activity list and honors and awards section are the prime opportunities to showcase this type of theme. And can you also do a number of things really well? Absolutely, there is no magic formula to this. Number 4 is standardized testing. Prepare strategically, take the test a number of times that are appropriate to you, and try to build your super score. Seniors, you're probably at that point now where you have to decide whether or not you apply with standardized testing or apply test optional. More to come on that later. For younger students, you want to take practice tests, drill vocab and math questions, and think about test preparation. 5 is your relationship with teachers, and that's partially for recommendations. You want to cultivate authentic relationships with teachers and mentors who can speak to that relationship in really compelling and specific ways. Letters of recommendation that can effectively advocate for you can assist you and help you build that narrative in the selective admissions process. And finally, your overall college list and application strategy. You'll want to build a balanced college list with an appropriate number of reaches, targets, and likelies. You also want to understand which early decision and early action plans align with your goals. All of this will take time through campus visits, fly-in programs, virtual opportunities, and other exploration. My key piece of advice and insight is that the strongest applications are not built in a semester. They're built over years of consistent curiosity, challenge, and engagement. And finally, if you're a senior or a parent of a senior, the section you've been waiting for, the top 10 things that seniors can still do to stand out in the college admissions process. Number 1, choose your major thoughtfully. Now, I'm not talking about taking an academic interest quiz and figuring out what you want to do with the rest of your life. I'm talking about the actual major selection that you do on the supplemental questions of each of your applications. Some majors, depending on the college, are oversaturated and oversubscribed. Things like computer science, business, and biology. And then there are others like classics, linguistics, foreign languages, and certain interdisciplinary fields that are underrepresented. I'm reading applications every single day where students have dual or varied interests. If you're really interested in both Japanese and computer science, it's a strategic move to list Japanese as your major 1 choice and computer science in the number 2 slot. And this is especially true if your application can demonstrate that Japanese language interest. Don't just put a major because you think it's going to help. Be intentional about your academic narrative and recognize that a college is trying to assemble an academically diverse class. Number 2 is to write compellingly about why that major. Now, you don't always have a spot for this. Some colleges ask you specifically why that major and others don't. But if you have an opportunity, use your essays and short answers to write compellingly about why that major based on your lived experiences, not just academic curiosity. Admission officers want to see intellectual engagement with purpose behind it. And on the compelling front, let me give you a practical example. Let's say you want to be an engineer. The easy, straightforward way to talk about this interest might be, I want to be an engineer because I like hands-on projects and connecting dots to make the physical world a better place. But honestly, that's really boring. You're just sort of telling us the why. But if you instead said, I'm a gardener at heart, I love to prune the bushes, set up my complicated irrigation system just right so my lavender receives just a touch of water, and my hydrangeas are drinking from a fire hose, and create a closed labyrinth of ferns, Japanese iris, Russian sage, and rosemary for Dad's cooking. And it's because that's how my mind works. Identify challenges every person faces, test and retest potential solutions, and develop a system that works and is sustained over time. Engineering is no different. The latter is so much more compelling than the former, so test out different ways of talking about your major. This also applies to your other college supplemental questions. You don't want to just list the reasons why you want to attend Notre Dame, you want to connect those back to your life and interests. Number 3 is to refine your personal essay. By this point as a senior, you've probably already drafted your essay and you're at the tail end of this process. And I'm sure you've already heard to avoid cliche topics. Things like sports injuries, international service and mission trips, and the biggest mistake that I've made. I'm not saying that those are not important experiences. Tearing your meniscus in maybe soccer season or basketball season and then having you taken out for the rest of that season must be devastating, but you've got to put yourself in the admissions officer's shoes. Admission officers are reading 50, 75, even 100 applications in a given day. If you have 2 supplemental essays and your personal essay, that's about 300 essays in one day. And even if maybe 25 to 50 all have the exact same theme, that can be tiring over time. And of course, you want to use your essay to make yourself stand out. Choose a story that only you can tell, and do that in a compelling way through voice, tone, and storytelling. Authenticity beats perfection and cliches every single time. Number 4 is be strategic with standardized testing. If you're thinking about applying with testing or applying test optional, be sure to research your institution's testing data to understand whether or not your testing is going to strengthen or weaken their average profile. Submit strategically. Obviously, this isn't always possible because a lot of selective colleges have gone back to requiring testing. But if you're not a great test taker and you're in the bottom 25% of a lot of your reaches, be sure to have a robust list of targets and likelies on your list. Number 5 is use the additional information section wisely. It's absolutely a forgotten section in so many ways. Many students fail to write anything in this section, probably because they don't know what to write or what's going to be compelling and effective. If there's context to your grades, activities, or personal circumstances, explain it succinctly. This is one major place where admission officers look for nuance. Number 6 is apply for merit scholarships, specifically at the institutions on your list. Even at selective schools, special and merit scholarships can open additional admissions pathways to you. I know it is very, very strange for you to hear this, but when I was at Vanderbilt, there were certain students who applied for certain merit scholarships who wouldn't have otherwise been admitted to the university had they not applied for those scholarships. In other words, they applied for the scholarship, received the scholarship, as well as admission to the university. Had they not had their application in front of us, we wouldn't have read those additional essays and they might not have a chance for admission. So please take the time to fill out those essays and additional information on those applications. It might really help you. Number 7 is to demonstrate interest where it matters. If the colleges, or at least some of those colleges on your list, track demonstrated interest, do it now. Open emails, spend time on the admissions website by clicking a link in those emails, attend virtual admission sessions, really anything that you can possibly do to showcase your interest. Every click and conversation can matter even weeks before the deadline. Number 8 is to develop an early decision 2 strategy. If your first round doesn't go your way, ED2 can be a powerful strategy in front of you. Certainly not everyone is in a position to apply early decision, but if you are, ED2 can show that commitment while colleges are still shaping their class before the sea of applications they receive in regular decision. Number 9 is to prepare for your admissions interview. When offered, interviews can rarely make or break the college application process, but they can humanize you. A great interview can get another advocate on your side, the interviewer. They'll submit a write-up, but they might even email the dean of admissions and say, hey, listen, I interviewed this great student. That's a big plus. Or alternatively, they can turn a decent application into a big red flag if you do poorly in the interview. Practice common questions and articulate your story and goals with confidence. And if you need more assistance, I offer a mock interview service on my website, AskDrHoffman.com. I will prepare you for the college interview. I'll ask you questions, record it, and send you feedback and redirection when needed. I'll also provide you a list of real college interview questions. You can sign up via the link below. And number 10, do a final line-by-line application review. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, gosh, I have read this application over and over and over again. I can't do this again. But it is critical that you do this before submitting your application. Go line by line through your application for spelling, activity descriptions, grammar, tone, formatting, literally everything. Details here communicate care and maturity in the admissions process, and that's a really good thing for admission officers. But if you want a professional insider set of eyes on your application before submitting, that's exactly what I do. I offer an application review service to seniors, where I'll take your common application, or really any application platform. I'll review your essays, college supplemental essays and questions, line by line through activity lists, and all of the information that you're submitting. I'll compare that against your resume and look at your transcript and school profile, and I will provide you feedback, advice, and edits before submitting that application. You can learn more and sign up at my website, AskDrHoffman.com. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, and I earned it, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends and family, neighbors, aunts, uncles, cousins, who are also going through the college admissions process. I post a new long-form content video each week, plus funny reels. Best of luck on the college admissions journey, and we'll see you in the next video.